I got bullied a lot when I was in middle school, and there were a couple of girls who bullied me almost every day. I still remember their names, and one day in particular, they had drawn on the side of a quarter with a number 2 pencil, and so there was lead all around the sides of the corner. They came up to me in the hall with the quarter, and they said, "Oh, we want to see if you can do this trick. We're seeing if people can do it. It takes special powers or balance or whatever to run a quarter up and down the side to the front of your nose. Can you do it?" And so I ran the quarter up and down my nose, and they said, "Oh, wow, that's really cool that you can do that." And I was like, "Oh, they're being nice to me today. I wonder what that's about." Trotted off to my next couple of classes. Didn't realize till much later in the day when I went to the bathroom and saw myself in the mirror that I had lead all up and down my nose. And so in the previous couple of classes, people had been laughing at me more than usual. Again, I got laughed at almost every day. But I had been made fun of for a couple of hours that day, more so, and it was because I had this lead on my nose. And these kinds of things were like an everyday occurrence. And recently I was thinking to myself, you never talked about that going on to anybody. You had all of that happening for years, and you never told a friend, you never told a parent, you never told anybody that it was happening, that you were being bullied this way, made fun of relentlessly and ruthlessly every day at school. And I thought to myself, that probably served as some form of childhood trauma, that you were bullied that way, but that's okay, you've recovered from it now. And what I only realized recently, and it was something that I heard someone say, is that, well, yes, it was childhood trauma, that I was bullied that way. The real trauma, or another form of trauma, actually happened before the bullying started. And the reason I know that is because I never spoke with anyone about the bullying. I was alone in it. Nobody was able to put their arm around me and offer me a hug and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's really tough. How do you feel about it?" And given me some advice or some counseling or some guidance as to, hey, it's okay. Those girls are probably just intimidated by you. They're trying to break you down. It's something to do with them. It doesn't have to do with you. You still get to feel proud of who you are, or maybe here's some things you can do the next time it happens to either stop it or prevent it or sort of hold them accountable. Nobody was there to talk to me about it. And that in and of itself provided another form of trauma. But the fact that I didn't want to talk to anyone, and I felt that I couldn't talk to anyone, and there was no one to talk to that I felt close enough to, where I didn't know how to have those conversations. The fact that all of that was how I felt about it, how I handled it, that I already decided that I would be alone in it, obviously came from something else that had happened when I was younger. And whatever that thing was, that was where the real trauma started. I never knew that. I never thought about it that way until just recently. And as I look back, I can kind of see what that was. Anytime I came to my mom or my parents with some sort of problem, they wanted to solve it for me, and they would come up with their own ideas of how they were going to solve it, and I didn't get any say in that, and sometimes it made things worse. Or I got told, man up, put your pants on, put your big girl pants on. This is not a big deal. Don't cry. We need to have only happy, positive feelings. And so I would end up feeling even worse because it was as if I was being told my feelings weren't valid, they weren't normal. And so I think that those things, those responses that I got when I had tried to speak up about things when I was younger, ended up being enough trauma for when this bullying happened. I was alone in it because I didn't feel that I could tell anybody, because I didn't think anyone would be there for me. And I think that's so interesting that sometimes if a sexual molestation happens, or there's some sort of abuse in a home of a child, and the child says, "I'm not going to talk to anyone about it until years and years and years later. I'm going to suffer alone." That, again, while that event was trauma, there was trauma before because they felt that they couldn't talk about it. That really gave me some food for thought. Curious to get anyone's thoughts on this as we think about childhood trauma.